G'day everybody, Farmer Wade for Billboard Battalion. We're coming to you from downtown Koyuga in north central Victoria. Today we're having a bit of a look at the weekly times here, and there's some interesting stuff. On the front page here, we've got some photos of farmers here who are protesting, and they're denying entry, denying access to people from TCV who want to come onto these people's properties and start to do the preliminary work to put up these massive, great big transmission lines. Now, this is an enormous effort. These people are taking on the system, they're taking on the government, and they're taking on international terrorist organisations like the WEF and the UN and the World Health Organisation. And make no mistake, they intend on going after these people here. Now, the whole thing with this so-called renewable energy, the transmission lines, this is a part of a plan to destroy Australia's energy grid and invade farms all over Australia with this renewable energy infrastructure. There's a whole garbage, this renewable energy crap. It's a fraud, total fraud. It can't do what they say it's going to do. But so it's very, very interesting that inside this newspaper, the Weekly Times, dated Wednesday, November 19, 2025, that's today, that inside this paper, when we have a look here, and there's a whole lot of bad news in this thing, I'm here to tell you, but we open it up here, and we've got, here's our old mate, Hamish McIntyre. Now, we've been doing quite a lot of coverage on Hamish McIntyre, who is the brand new, or just recently elected president of the National Farmers Federation. And it's interesting, the headline here, National Farmers Federation backs net zero, but not farmland off. So we want to just unpack that a little bit, because I think that in this article, and once again, the live here is my opinion today, but what I think we're seeing here is smoke and mirrors and sleight of hand. Because where it says here, let's be very, very clear, National Farmers Federation backs net zero, but not farmland offsets. Now, the word there is offsets. Now, the National Farmers Federation should not be backing net zero anything, because the whole purpose of net zero, or one of the primary objectives, is to destroy farmers. Now, where Hamish McIntyre here talks about this supporting net zero, they support Labor's 2035 targets, blah, 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 all the rest of that crap. But here's the main thing. He's talking about companies who basically buy up farmland to have carbon offsets, to use that farmland as carbon offsets for other businesses that are not in agriculture. Now, this is a very serious problem. Absolutely, and there's a lot of farmers going crook about that. But let's have a bit of a look at this. He doesn't say that they don't want all this renewable energy infrastructure all over farmland across Australia, and particularly here in Victoria. Hamish McIntyre doesn't say that. Wonder why? He's talking about offsets. So the headlines, you know, they back net zero but not farmland. No, he doesn't mean farmland, he means offsets. Because these poor people who are struggling right now in Western Victoria here, fighting against a massive, enormous bureaucracy of government corruption, and dare I say it, National Farmers Federation corruption. That's my opinion. Now, these people here get from, in many cases, various income. So in essence, what is happening? That Hamish McIntyre, in my opinion, as the president of National Farmers Federation, is selling out our farmers. The ones who are at war with the government, with the electricity companies to try and keep them off their land. This bloke here, Hamish McIntyre, is not saying a damn thing. He's actually behind it. He's supports these farmers being invaded and attacked. That's what it appears like to me. That's a prima facie case. So I've been trying to get to interview Hamish McIntyre, the president of the National Farmers Federation, to say, well, let's see where you land on this. Bloody fly. One of the things about, of course, doing things live, out in the paddock, in the wind, we're in amongst the hay here. We baled there just not so long ago. Got the trusty old ute out here, so this is us, mate. This is where I'd rather be instead of actually doing all this crap in Canberra, which we're going to again next week. Heading back to Canberra to be in Parliament House there. This is me, thanks very much. Shove the rest of it right where the sun doesn't shine. But here we are, and no one's saying the things that I'm saying, the Billboard Battalion's saying. No one else is taking on people like this. Because if the farming sector in Australia is going to survive, you can't survive when the National Farmers Federation, who I think is nothing more than a government and World Economic Forum lapdog, and I wonder what they've done to capture the National Farmers Federation, to control them. What have they done? How have they done it? These are questions that this mob need to answer, because the government refers to them as being the representatives of the farmers, as does the media. And if they're already backing net zero, they're backing the destruction of Australian agriculture. So where we've got our farmers who are fighting against the system, we want to know why are they paying the National Farmers Federation any money? Why are all the farmer groups who are associated with this mob, why are you paying them any money? You know, this is why it seems like Hamish McIntyre's gone to ground, mate. He's gone underground. I can't seem to get a word with him. However, we're going to push this mob a hell of a lot harder. We're going to be in Canberra next week, and we're going to see the National Farmers Federation officers there, whoever's there, and we'll be doing some lives from the National Farmers Federation. Now, I'd like to see this Hamish McIntyre, who supposedly represents the cotton industry, and I'm here to tell you the cotton industry are going to be one of the major targets of this bill that we're going to be opposing, which is the National Environmental Protection Agency bill, because its sole purpose is to attack Australia, and in particular our farmers. So the cotton industry that old Hamish here seems to be the representative for, mate, you lot are toast. It's over. They're going to wipe you out, and this bloke and the National Farmers Federation are helping him. So for all the people who are making millions and millions of dollars out of cotton and so on, don't get used to that. In fact, if you're beef, dairy, sheep, cotton, cereals, it doesn't matter. It's going to be over, and the National Farmers Federation are helping them to do it. So this is one of the main reasons why we're pushing so hard to catch up with this mob. And one of the reasons why I think old Hamish might have done a runner or gone to ground, don't want to talk to me. So for an organisation like this, with so much power, so much influence, or actually the other way around, you'd think that they'd have no problem talking to lowly old Farmer Wade, just a bloke from the bush, mate. You'd think these people would be able to run rings around me if they had the goods. If I was telling things that are not true, which I'm not, I'm telling you dead straight. We shoot straight, everyone knows that. That's what you get from Billboard Battalion, straight shooting. So what's these people's problem? I would suggest to you that the bureaucrats and the politicians who control this mob have told them have nothing to do with this. All of a sudden you've got somebody who's taken you and prepared to land one right on the end of your chin and take you on with the facts and the truth. They can't defend what they've done. So that's why they're being told, in my opinion, don't have anything to do with this. Do not talk to Farmer Wade. Do not do any interviews. We don't want the rank and file farmers in Australia, even the really, really rich ones. We don't want them to all of a sudden work out that the National Farmers Federation is selling them out. So therefore, I might take on an additional tactic. I might see if the president of the NFF is, I don't know, being abducted by aliens or something, who knows what. Maybe it's time to go to the next cab off the rank, which would be the vice president. So I'm going to do the best I can to catch up with the vice president. Now, and that's a bloke from Western Australia called John Hassel, because there's questions that need to be answered on behalf of our farmers and our country. And we'll see if we can get John Hassel to actually talk on behalf of old disappearing Hamish here. Actually get somebody to talk. We don't want to have to speak to someone in the National Farmers Federation like the tea lady or something, maybe the cleaner, I'm not sure, the gardener perhaps. But we're going to go and see him next week when we're in Canberra, and we're going to start getting to the bottom of this. We'll be absolutely doing some lives from Canberra. We've got a protest going to be happening in Canberra next Sunday, but in the meantime, I want to be talking about this bloke. Dunner runner Hamish. Runaway Hamish. Where are you? What are you doing, mate? You know, the people of Australia want to know what's happening. Our farmers who are being attacked, they're on their own. They're trying to defend their properties, Hamish. Where are you? Where's the National Farmers' disgusting and disgraceful mob of sellouts? Oh, hang on a minute. You're talking about offsets. Now, we have a bit of a problem. This renewable energy crap is attacking our farmers. Now, let's have a bit of a look. Why maybe the National Farmers Federation is not defending our farmers? They're selling out our farmers. And I've said this before, and we'll keep saying this till we get some answers from these people, these really nice people, these great representatives who are selling you out on your guts. They're toasting you, mate, throwing you underneath the train. Where's the ex-CEO? What job has he got? Could we have a look at maybe why the National Farmers Federation are selling out our farmers who want to fight these transmission lines and windmills and this other crap? Because Tony Marr, the ex-CEO, now has a job, and you'll never guess what it is. People who watch us regularly do, but for new viewers, Tony Marr's new job is the Commissioner in charge of renewable infrastructure. Can you believe it? I wonder how he managed to get that job. Did Tony Marr maybe kiss the backsides of the politicians and the international investors and the World Health Organization and the WEF? Is that maybe why the National Farmers Federation only talks about offsets? Not about the invasion of farmland with this renewable energy crap. So Tony Marr is now the brand new Commissioner in charge of renewable infrastructure, which is what is attacking these farmers out in Western Victoria and all over Australia where you've got renewable infrastructure. That's the bloke who was the CEO of this mob here. I wonder if there's a connection. I continually talk about professional board jumpers, and my definition of that is people who get into positions of power supposedly representing people. It doesn't matter if it's farmers or trade unionists, the mining industry, it doesn't matter. I think, and what I believe is many of these people, not all, but many, have to prove to the government or to the international corporates that they will sell out their members. They will throw them under the bus. And therefore they prove to the government and these international corporates that they're worthy of getting a job, a big flash job where they get a fortune. Now, I don't know what Tony Marr, the ex-CEO of National Farmers Federation, gets paid, but I'll bet it's a fair old screw. So you're not going to give that job to a bloke who was a CEO of the National Farmers Federation who was actually fighting for farmers. You're going to give that job to somebody who was selling out their farmers, selling with our government, with the Forum, United Nations, and now the World Health Organization, which has just taken control of Australia. And as I keep saying, the Centre for Disease Control bill, which passed only weeks ago, that is to give the World Health Organization power. And the bill that we're fighting against this upcoming week, which is the National Environmental Protection Agency bill, that's the other part of this. So we need to kill this. Now, we'll be running a protest in Canberra next Sunday. So we're calling on everybody. I know it's very, very, very short notice. And farmers are all cropping and they're doing hay and silage. I get that totally. But this is very short notice stuff. But we've got to pull something together in Canberra next Sunday at 12 p.m. in front of Parliament House. We're going to be doing a protest there. We'll have some speeches and things, and we'll be telling people what's going on, because Billboard Battalion is going back to Canberra, as we've made a commitment as best we can, if we can afford to do it, is to be there whenever the both houses of Parliament are sitting. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'm calling on this bloke here, Hamish McIntyre. We got plenty of people who say, oh, Hamish is a top bloke. Oh, he's a great bloke. I don't think so. Let's just see. And let's just see how many farmers have been torched. They've been ploughed in, ploughed up, destroyed and wrecked, because the National Farmers Federation, as one of them, backs the government and the international corporations against our farmers. So where's the Victorian Farmers Federation? Where's the Western Australian Farmers Federation? Where's old mate from New South Wales Farmers Federation? Xavier Martin, where are you? Brett Hosking, where are you? We're going to be talking to these people as much as we can. And as the farming community, if you want to survive, if you want to live, then I suggest get on the case with us. Push back against these people. I know so many people have left farming organisations because they've said they're useless and they just sell you out, they don't listen, they just work for the politicians. Well, let's change that around. And let's get the whole country on our side. And I would say to anyone that says, yeah, Hamish is a good bloke. You know, he's a good bloke. He looks after the farmers. Well, come on, Billboard Battalion, and let's have that out. Let's see exactly how good Hamish is. I could put a few spots together. We've got a hell of a lot going on, but we would give someone a run who claims to be one of Hamish's good friends. Maybe someone from the executive of Cotton Growers Australia or the cotton industry. Because the cotton industry, I guarantee you, is earmarked for destruction. It is one of the primary targets of the World Economic Forum and the United Nations under the banner of fighting climate change. You filthy farmers, you use water, you put chemicals, you use sprays, you use pesticides and herbicides. You burn diesel in tractors. The process, the transport to the gins, working the gins, you filthy environmental bandits. Now, that's not my words. That's not what I think. I love the agricultural sector. I love farming. That's what we do. That's what we live for. But what I just said, this is the attitude of the United Nations and the WEF and the WHO. And the WHO have just been given the power to take down and destroy the cotton industry, as well as the grains industry, beef, sheep, the whole deal. That's what this is all about. Now let's see what Hamish McIntyre has to say about it. It's about time, Hamish. You get out of your little hole or rock or wherever the hell you're hiding, mate, and you come out and talk to us. Because we've got huge numbers of farmers now who are starting to look at you and go, hang on, what's Farmer Wade talking about? We thought that the NFF were on our side. However, there's a whole millions, many numbers of farmers who go, the NFF are a waste of time, they're full of crap, they sell us out. Anyway, I'll call it quits at that at the minute. We'll go and see if we can also catch up with the Vice President, John Hassel from Western Australia, and we'll start working through the system here. But we're going to be at the NFF next week. We're going to be there, we'll bring you coverage from there, and we're going to keep pushing this, because while they've got people like this and people like this who are selling you out to the government and to international corporations, then you're doomed. So it's about time somebody, and it's up to us to lead this, pushes back on this mob. Thanks very much, everybody. We won't talk about this parasitic loser scumbag Murray Watt here just at the minute, taking a whole heap of our extra water, but we'll talk about that very, very soon. Thanks everybody for watching. Remember, subscribe, share. If you can help us, chuck in some dollars, donate to us. Your industry is about to be wiped out. Your life, your farm is about to be wiped out. That's why we're seeing these battles now. We'll be back tomorrow with a whole lot more of this. Yeah, we'll hopefully see people in Canberra next Sunday. We'll put up a lot more about that very, very soon. This is as soon as we've got confirmation that we can do it. So thanks for everyone for watching. We'll catch up with you later.